Welcome to my little shop of models. This is an emporium for many a fine plastic crack connoisseur. A little hive scummer told me you were interested in joining a gang. Well, do you want to be in my gang? My gang? Even now that's still too soon. Let me show you what we have and how you might start using it. Cue intro.
The Spiel Canal, yet another gaming channel with no budget for animation or even a catchy tune.
To start a gang, you need to pick one. As we progress through this video, I'll give a little intro to each. Maybe a longer video series could follow in the future, taking a deep dive, but that really depends on hitting those like and subscribe buttons. If I get to 1 million likes, maybe I'll get some of that sweet Raid Shadow Legends money. Before we begin, I have a question. Can you tell me, do you like gangs?
We sure do.
Do you like rats?
They're the best.
Do you like explosives?
Love a good boom boom.
Do you like gangs of explosive rats?
Oh my god, it sounds like a dream come true. Then perhaps House Corridor is the house for you.
They live in trash but had the ingenuity to strap shotguns to pole arms, which is pretty nuts. And soon, the Redemptionists are coming. Fiery cordials who want to be the trash can man. Praise the Emperor and burn the heretics. Marshmallow corpse starch sold separately. So when you know what you want to buy, it's time to buy some plastic. Starter boxes can be good if you want one of those gangs. Gives you something you need to rope a stranger in. In this store, we sell rope and how to make a lasso. Stand outside and grab those gaming buddies. Ha! I'd joke. We all know roofies are much more effective. GW did just announce a new starter set. Delake? Let's go with Delake, however you say it. Delake and Escher. Delake are sneaky Petes with a nice general range of weapons, but focus on being very disruptive to the enemy. Hey, what's that? You want to outgun me? Pew, 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 pew. Pow! I'm turning off the lights. Gonna charge me down? Not if I shoot my special sticky juice on you. That comes from web weapons, by the way. Get your mind out of the hive gutter. Escher are a female-only gang with cheap las guns and plenty of punky aesthetic. They have the moxie and they don't mind using it to crack heads and stab you in the guts. They specialise in toxins and drugs, and they also have a love of cats, especially mutant ones. Be the crazy cat ladies. They have stiletto blades, and that neon on them isn't from a glow stick. Stab, stab, stab. But you don't need a starter set if it doesn't strudel your noodle. You need some rules and some plastic to get an initial feel for everything but the expansion books. I'll include a link below to the Necromunda Comprehensive Rulebook. It's a nice starter, but I'd certainly recommend making the investment when you can. Buying a gang box set costs about £22.10 from the Games Bunker and Western Supermare, also linked below, and you have what you need to get started. Most boxes contain about 10 models. This will cover a leader, can build a couple of champions, and some standard gangers. Weapon options within the boxes can be a little bit limited. Additional options are sold on Forge World, but personally, I'm more of a kit bash. Or tell your opponent, step back, motherfudger. What you see isn't what you get. GW are slowly releasing house books with specific rules to the gang, but there's still a couple from completion. Delake and Corridor don't have theirs yet, although the Corridor one has been announced. These books have all the fluff, the latest credit costs, and the gear lists for your gang, as well as the unique mechanic your gang gets. House of Blades for Escher gives the house an exclusive toxin mechanic. House of Iron for Orlocks give legendary names. At the moment, only the 6 houses will get unique mechanics. The other gangs get a punch on the shoulder and an inspirational message on a cat poster. Ad break. Sons of Anarchy. Did you watch that? Maybe it inspired you to be an outlaw. Maybe you want to start flipping the bird to law while wearing leather and little caps, just like this guy. Maybe you want to be Jax, or Clates, or the guy who lives in the basement in Pulp Fiction. Then you should consider the House of Iron. Orlocks love leather and mid-range weapons. The most generalist of gangers. They don't excel at any one thing, but they can respond to most things thrown at them with a little thought and strategy. Dust off that leather coat, pick up that shotgun, grab the keys to the motorcycle. Let's go to the club. Ad break over. Now, if you intend to go into a campaign, generally the starting budget is 1,000 credits. I would recommend you want to maximise your numbers. You'll want to have a leader, you have to have gangers, and you'll also want some champions. Those wrong uns definitely up your stat. Now, gangers and juves have a gang fighter special rule. Now, this is important for your composition. The number of fighters on your roster with this special rule must equal or exceed those without it. This doesn't include hangers-on and hired guns, and we'll come to those in a later video. So if I had a leader and 2 champions, I'd need at least 3 gangers with the gang fighter rule. Do you like the Emperor, but wish he had more arms? Then the Industrious Gene Stealer cult is for you. All praise the 4-armed Emperor. In the GSC, we are big on family and we're big on love. We got some sneaks, we got some shoots, we got extra arms. Sure, we don't have as many wounds, but we are cheap to replace, and our standard armour makes us immune to blaze. Take that, Redemptionist! Now, each category of fighter have a house weapon and gear list. The lower the rank, the more restrictive that list becomes. At the founding of your gang, one ganger, so one of the plebs with the gang fighting special rule, can be a specialist that gives the average Joe a chance to have a slightly bigger gun. Only leaders and champs can buy weapons from the trading post or black market, but gangers can get gear and ammo from there, so there's something for everyone. Gangers have 3 weapon slots, and really big guns with the unwieldy trait take up 2 slots. Leaders, champs and specialists can have multiple weapon profiles with the rule called Tools of the Trade. Now, in any given battle, they can still only take 3 weapons, but it allows them to have multiple fighter cards where they can have different loadouts. If your leader, say Joshua here, who covets his plasma pistol, has enough weapons that he can have 2 fighter profiles, 2 different loadouts, he can put his favourite plasma on both of them without needing to buy 2. Think of it as he has a gun rack that his ex got him after they broke up, and he has enough guns to warrant owning a gun rack. So he just grabs the 3 he wants off the rack each time he goes off to crack heads. Thank you, Stacy. Speaking of Joshua, do you like him? Look at his little furnace blast plates. Look how they cover his bulging vat-grown muscles. Do you like looking at, or power fantasize about being the kind of person with this kind of muscularity?
Grab me that baby oil.
If this sounds like your floating boat, then you might want to be with House Goliath. They might be slow, they might be dumb, but they certainly know how to deliver a punch or pistol whip. Who needs the door code when you can tear the door down? Embrace your Mr. Universe and flex those pecs today. An additional boon for champions and leaders is access to skills. Now, there are 11 skill trees and each has 6 skills. Leaders and champions will have several primary and secondary skill trees dependent on their house. Some gangs have unique skill trees. Now, on creation, a leader and champion can select one skill from one of their primary skill trees, and there'll be opportunities throughout the campaign as they gain additional experience to purchase skills from some of the other trees. This skill tree mechanic certainly lends itself to you creating a more nuanced gang and something that feels more in the theme that you're trying to achieve. It's important to have fun and help others have fun and enjoy the ride in the Underhive. But speaking of fun, did you enjoy Spider-Man? He has some interesting villains. Well, if you like those villains, then maybe you would love the Van Sars. They are a shooty army with juves on hoverboards and champions with extra mechanical arms, just like an just like a spider. Totally no creative license borrowing with these guys. Check out House of Artifice today for more information. Now, at the moment, you can also still purchase the previous box, Dark Uprising, which introduced a fine selection of 3D terrain on a not-so-great game mat, along with the Palanite Enforcers, think Judge Dredd meets Robocop, very expensive elite jackbooted thugs, against the Corp Grinder cult, a band of merry, misunderstood cannibals who just want their meal fresh rather than over-processed into cornstarch. But oh no, the man won't let them have that freedom. It's a good set. It is a bit expensive, but if you're interested in those gangs and you want to get your hand on some terrain, I'd certainly recommend it. When I pick up a gang box, I usually make about half the box. I make a leader, I make a champ or two, I make a couple of gangers, just to get a feel in quick skirmishes for their stats and mechanics. Then I go back and I build the rest. Now this is a personal preference. When I first started, I built everything straight away, but then I began to regret some of my aesthetical decisions before I had the chance to really get to know my crew. Ad break. How do you feel about slavery? Trick question. Anti-slavery only on this channel. That's why I support the outlaw slave ogrins. I support them, but I wouldn't pick them. These hulking towers make Goliath look small. You won't get to field many, but they do make some impact. Just a shame they have incredibly restrictive access to new gear and weapons. In most campaigns they are as doomed as Spartacus. But better to die free than live in chains, eh? Ad break over. Oh, and remember, you have a roster and you have a crew. The roster is your whole gang and the crew is who is on the mission. Missions will tell you how to choose the crew, but in a campaign, gangers can receive injuries and they can take them out of future games. So always try to have some subs who can step in and not leave you outnumbered on future missions. If you're outnumbered, it will make winning a whole lot harder. You know who don't worry about getting outnumbered, who don't really worry about anything? Chaos cultists. The Helot. They're immune to insanity. They are dirt cheap, but they're also dirt. They get a chaos spawn, but the stat rely on a roll, which means sometimes it's as useful as frog spawn. If you fancy embracing the Dark God, the Chaos Cultist could be your cup of tea. The last gang are the Venerators. It's a bounty hunter gang. It's a pick your own gang. It's a, I've got a mishmash of units and I'm going to make up a story to go with them and I'm going to put them together. They can be quite expensive, but they're so open booked there's not much to say about them. I've not faced off against them myself, but I've heard that there's some very interesting gangs. And certainly something that you could be interested in if you've got a bunch of character models that you've made that you really want to use in this setting. Lastly, I would like to say that Necromunda is a fun, weird little game with plenty of balance and rule ambiguity issues. And while you can look at spreadsheets and forums for optimal builds, the fun and memories come from playing the game for enjoyment rather than always to win. The Juve who defied all odds to charge and take down a champion will always be a better story than your cookie cutter Escher Lasgun lineup. So, that's the end of the video. Thanks for sticking around. You can go now if you want to. Big thanks to everybody in the Reddit and Instagram community. I put a call out for models in various stages of the painting process and the response was overwhelming. Thanks guys, you did great. I really enjoyed putting this together. I have no idea what I'm doing. It took a lot longer than I thought it would, but you know, hopefully as I build up assets it will be a quicker process. Every 2 to 3 weeks I should be putting something out there. Any suggestions that people want to see would be much welcome, as well as if you've noted any errors that I might have made, please let me know. I'll try to release a errata for those sorts of things. I'm working on one at the moment for a couple of mistakes I made in my first video. I should have released that already, but unfortunately I was too keen to do this one. That's the end. Credits are over. There's no after credit scene for this production. Time to leave.